Boxing truth here. Shannon the Cannon, Shannon Briggs, Let's Go Champ, finally has an official opponent, and it's his toughest opponent to date ever since he made his comeback to boxing after getting absolutely demolished by Vitaly Klitschko. He's fighting Alexander Dimitrenko, a fighter fighting out of Germany. He's fought mostly in Germany his entire career. He's only fought twice out of the country. And I think this is actually Shannon Briggs is facing a tougher foe than David Haye, who's the main event of the show. It's going to be on May 21st at the O2 Arena. Shannon Briggs is going to be part of the undercard, and it's a opportunity to get past Dimitrenko to get the fight he really wants, and that's against David Haye, who's fighting Arnold Gerchach, the Cobra. Now, David Haye is promoting his own show, so because of the shit that Shannon Briggs has been talking, saying that he's scared that he won't fight, and because of the fan demand that's increasing, David Haye finally approved of Shannon Briggs being on his undercard with the stipulation that if he wins, he'll get him next for later in the year. Now, David Haye is on some fuck shit right now. He's hoping and crossing his fingers that Shannon Briggs will get beat by Alexander Dimitrenko. I'm kind of surprised that Shannon's facing this type of opponent, because it is his biggest test ever since his comeback. Shannon Briggs has fought. He hasn't fought the strongest opposition. It's been, very low level guys he's fought. But I'm not saying Dimitrenko's a world beater or anything, but he's a much better opponent compared to Shannon Briggs' past competition in the ring. He's a big guy, 6'7". He's still has some left physically, comes forward, aggressive, can make for entertaining fights. He's got 38 fights, only 2 L's. He lost to a couple of name guys, Pulev early in his career, and he lost to Eddie Chambers. So I actually think he's a tougher opponent than what David Haye is facing, and he's the main event. But you go by BoxRec, they'll say that the Cobra is rated higher than Dimitrenko. Dimitrenko's a top 40 heavyweight, according to BoxRec, and Gerchach's a top 25 heavyweight, according to BoxRec. But you look at their opposition, it's pretty much very similar. Although Dimitrenko has fought a couple of name guys, and he's fought outside of Germany a couple of times. And the guy David Haye's fighting, the Cobra, he has not. And he's only fought in Switzerland against a bunch of no-name guys nobody ever heard of. But out of both of the guys, he's the only one that's rated by an organization. He's rated very low, number 14 by the WBO. Dimitrenko's not rated by anybody because he's been feasting on very pedestrian opposition as of late. Ever since his knockout loss to Pulev, he hasn't been facing anybody of note. Hasn't really stepped up himself in a while. But when it comes to, the actual ability of both guys, when you watch tape on both guys, I think Dimitrenko is a more dangerous opponent. And it makes me wonder how the hell David Haye was able to pay Dimitrenko a decent purse in order to be on the undercard of his fight against a maniac against Shannon Briggs, because Dimitrenko was being mentioned as an opponent early in the year for King Kong Ortiz, Luis Ortiz, and him and his team couldn't come to an agreement because Dimitrenko was asking for a little too much money. They couldn't come to terms on the money, so it makes me wonder: is David Haye, who stated that the opponent he got for his fight for May 21st was because of budget cuts, that he has no network providing him license fees that he's pretty much paying uh, the Cobra what he can from the money that will be generated from ticket sales and other sources. So that's the reason why he was only able to afford this type of opponent, the Cobra, because of the lack of funds being brought into the events, considering that no major network in the UK is providing any license fees for this fight. It's going to be another free-to-air event, I believe. So it makes you wonder, the David Haye, who I don't really think wants to fight Shannon Briggs, because, it's a big risk. But I believe he overpaid, went over his budget to get Demetrenko as an opponent, because he is promoting the show. So I'm pretty sure he was the one that picked Shannon Briggs' opponent for this fight in hopes of Demetrenko derailing Shannon Briggs' momentum in the UK, and he won't get his big fight. But that's what I believe, because David Haye, why the hell take that risk when you're in line for some big paydays just to fight a 44-year-old crazy maniac like Shannon Briggs, who still has some left physically, who is in good shape, and he's very dangerous in the first 2 rounds. Just watch Shannon Briggs in the first round. Even in his most recent of fights, the guy comes out guns blazing, tries to knock you the fuck out. Old ass guy coming at you with such fierce and explosiveness, and the guy has a great knockout ratio in the early rounds. He has, I think, the most first round knockouts in the heavyweight division, and he still lives up to that reputation. The guy tries to take your head off the first round. He really goes out and puts on a show the first round. Comes after you, tries to land really big shots, doesn't back down, and he tries to knock you the fuck out the first round. So you gotta watch out for a guy like that. The guy that comes try to take you out in 1 round. So David Haye is making sure that Shannon Briggs is fighting a test for his May 21st bill. I believe is a tougher foe than his actual opponent, to be honest. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Who you think is the tougher foe here of the two guys? Is it the Cobra? Is it Demetrenko? I think Demetrenko's a tougher fight, because I've seen footage on both guys. I think Demetrenko is a little more dangerous. He's also a southpaw, I believe. So, Gerchak, he's really slow, and I just see a complete tomato can when I watch some footage of him, and I just see him being cannon fodder for David Haye, who still has some speed and explosiveness in his arsenal. And I see it being another easy night, but it might not be an easy night for Shannon Briggs. He hasn't fought this type of a fighter in a while. He still has the experience, but he hasn't been fighting anybody. His opponents, ever since his comeback, they are what they are. But we'll see what we'll see what Shannon Briggs has left. This is going to be a true test, a big physical guy who comes forward, comes to fight. He's no world beater. He's no rated challenger, but he's got a decent record. He's got decent experience. He's got good size, and I believe he's a tougher opponent than David Haye. But y'all let me know what y'all think. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.